Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning, another start of another week. Hope you're having a great day. And say hello to a few. Hi, Jean. And good morning to you. Rosalinda and John and Lynn, Rosa, Charlotte, good morning. Jose, bonjour. Elise, bonjour. Nick, she says I'm her favorite doctor. Yeah, but she works for me. Connie, Marie, Nellie, Susan from Florida, Francis Marie, good morning. Julie from Sturgeon, Madeleine from Temiskaming, Jeanette from our staff, Milika, and Darlene, Claudette, and Renee, Kim, friend from Timmins, Wendy, good morning, Hazel, and Fran. Okay, big crowd coming on. Another Nick from Iowa, and Wendy from Markham. Star, good morning. Our dear faithful friends, Dorothy, Judy from Newfoundland, Lisa, and our favorite doc, Angelina, good morning. And from Tennessee, Jean and Donna, Shelley, Jackie. I hate to stop because I know I missed so many people. Maria and Lori. Okay, here we go, guys. Here we go. Another one from Newfoundland, Carol and Milika, Stouffville, and Dorothy. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Dan, how are you? And our dear friend Zian and Jean, Melody from British Columbia. That always amazes me because it's 5:30 in the morning over there. David and Diane. Okay, I'll come on afterwards and say hello. You know, guys, I was thinking about this on the weekend, and I just, you know, I've said this to before, but I'm going to say it again. Science is never settled. Science is never settled. And that's the idea with science, isn't it? It's observation. And the more we can observe, the more we can, with better microscopes and better data, science isn't settled. You know, we have good ideas on things, and but what bothers me is when you hear that term, science is settled. That is people, that is a narrative that comes out when people don't want to, they want to end an argument. They don't want you to question. And we're seeing a lot of that, aren't we? Like in the media and that, like, you know, just people are saying, well, that's, you know, you follow the science. Well, following science is I'm open to new data. I'm open to new data. You know, on the weekend, we found out that the CDC has said this, that the testing, okay, for the virus, the testing that they use, the PCR test, is it's not that reliable because it can't differentiate the flu, the influenza virus from COVID virus. Now, they're very similar viruses, okay? But they can't differentiate the two. So remember when I asked the question has it been a year? I probably asked that question. Where did the flu go? But they don't want you to question that. I've been against the over-testing, to getting tested, especially people that are asymptomatic. Why the heck are we testing so much? Anyways, not that I want to spend time on the virus this morning. I really wanted to spend time talking about new discoveries following the science. I give you another story. I remember, this is reading this years ago, but you ever hear the name Walter Reed? Well, that's sort of famous in the United States because Walter Reed said, Walter Reed is a famous hospital. I think it's in Washington, and it's for veterans, right? The Walter Reed Hospital. And it's named after a physician, Walter Reed, who was, I think maybe two of them, out of all the scientific community in the early 1900s. I remember reading this, but I never have forgotten that Walter Reed went against the grain, because when it came to malaria, you know what the scientists were saying? Well, it came from dirt. Malaria was a dirt. It was in the soil. It was in the dirt. And that's how people got it. And Walter Reed said, nah, it is transmitted by mosquitoes. He was laughed at. He was vilified. But it turns out he was right. Malaria is transmitted not through soil, but through mosquitoes. That's well established now. And the reason I'm saying it is because we have been talking about Viderma for eons, and I will continue to talk about it and continue to bring to you study after study after study that has been negated, not listened to. The importance of your immunity, the importance of vitamin D. But when the world doesn't want to hear it, where it's almost like fighting a losing battle. So I always tell people, look, don't get discouraged when people don't listen to you. Because I've been reading our private Facebook group, and people sometimes get discouraged because they know their family isn't buying into nutrition, or they don't see the benefits of vitamin D, and very inexpensive prophylactic that works. Absolutely works. So, one of the missions of this program is to give you information, guys, so that you can use that information to help yourself, first of all. I always tell people, you can't help others till you help yourself. Help yourself. And lead by example. As much as you can, lead by example for your family, your circle. Do it for you first. Because health is a very personal thing. And then, it's amazing by watching and observing, and, when people are ready, when the wheels on the bus come off in their life, it's amazing. A lot of times they reach out. Now, some people, it doesn't matter. They don't want to hear about it. And whatever the media tells them, they believe. There's a lot of people like that. The Bible calls them a fool because they just believe everything they hear. And that's what it is. I mean, and there's not a lot you can do. There's not a lot you can do. You can bring a horse to water. You can't make him drink it. Now, add a little bit of salt, though. It helps. Okay? And the salt is you. It's you. You change. You implement changes. And it's amazing that people will see that. And when they're, a lot of times it's timing for them. And, sometimes the time's not right and they're not, But don't lose hope. Okay? Don't lose hope. And I don't care about following the science so much. It depends what science you're talking about. Okay? And again, I'm going to bring you an alternative view. And I'm not alternative for the sake of being alternative. I'm trying to show you what I have found in practice, what I found over my years of experience, what really works and what doesn't work. Okay? So, for example, just about newness, okay? And me learning something, and I don't want to ever stop learning. Never, never. But like that study that we looked at last week, that the thyroid gland, for example, doesn't work. Like, the thyroid is complex. The thyroid is a puppet. The thyroid is your metabolism. Your thyroid is your thermostat. Your thyroid does a lot of things, guys. But it also depends on a lot of things. Like, think of a puppet and look at all those strings, for the hands and the feet and, the head. And like the thyroid is a very finicky organ, to say the least. And what did we learn last week? We learned that the thyroid doesn't even work properly without you having proper levels of vitamin D. And that's why I tell you that vitamin D really isn't just a vitamin, it's a hormone. It's as important as TSH for the thyroid. And, every day I'm asked, how much, doc? How much vitamin D? Well, everybody's different. And I'm giving you numbers in terms of your blood levels. And they're saying, like, if you get 50, okay, you get 50 in vitamin D, NG/ml, okay, that's the American reading of vitamin D. I like 50, 60, and for cancer, this is blood work, guys, by the way, okay? And for cancer therapy, and I don't mind telling you this, I don't think there's any person on the planet, not only to prevent cancer with vitamin D, Viderma, but therapeutically, I can't understand, other than politics and, again, I always tell people, look, there's an invisible world that you don't see, right? It's invisible. You can't see it. There's a spiritual battle going on. We read about it in Ephesians chapter 6. It's a spiritual thing. You can't see it, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? And there's a battle going on really today between guys like me, which we would be called in, alternative or functional medicine, and traditional medicine. There's sort of a battle. You have to see in behind the scenes. So whenever you see anything, from cancer to cardiovascular disease, let's take the big four. Cancer, well, heart disease first, still. Cancer right up there, close second. Alzheimer's, diabetes, those are the four big killers in society in terms of disease, okay? In terms of disease. But because the numbers are huge, there's a narrative. It's controlled. It's controlled by the big three. You have to understand that. If you don't see it behind the scenes, guys, you're going to miss this. One, there's the pharmaceutical companies. And again, please, they do some wonderful things. There's some wonderful medications. So I'm not painting a brush without giving you a disclaimer. They do some wonderful things, but they really have hijacked medicine, traditional medicine. They've hijacked it. They're huge. And even when it comes to the virus, I just got to say this. You can't talk about the immune system. They've thrown it out. It's like the baby with the bathwater. It's no. It's got to be the shot and nothing else. I can't. Well, I understand it, but it doesn't make it right, guys. And two, you have the food industry. Huge. 7 or 8 companies. They run the whole thing. They bought out every other company, and they're big conglomerates. And they have an agenda. They want you to eat their food. They want you to get off the farm. And they masquerade it with climate. It's a masquerade. It's an indoctrination. And it's amazing. They're very powerful. But as long as you can see behind the scenes, you won't be duped. And then there's the huge social media companies. Very powerful. And they are, they shape the media. They shape the news. They shape it. And I thank God for the venue I have right here, because I can freely share with you an alternative view. But you need to understand what goes on behind the scenes, guys. You have to understand that. So when your friends and family, they come against you, and they can be pretty angry about it, just be ready for it. It doesn't surprise me. And I understand that really I'm not in the majority. I'm in a minority, and that's all right. That's all right. Doesn't mean we're wrong to be in the minority. But we look at the world differently, don't we? And we look at and we understand that. You need to understand that with every disease. And so, pharmaceutical companies, they're, like I said, they do some wonderful things, but they're not into prevention of disease. They're not. They're not into prevention. They're into treatment and management. Diabetes, for example, which is really at the root of heart disease, mostly, and the root of cancer, mostly, and the root of Alzheimer's, mostly. I mean, there's other factors, but those are the big factors is food. And you're not going to hear that in the mainstream section. It's not their narrative. And don't be surprised when you get bullied. Okay? Don't be surprised when you get bullied. So, like science isn't settled. That's the headline. It's not settled. And I'm going to, like today is more of a philosophy showing you that, and you don't need 1,000 things. I want you to focus. I'm a focuser. You see that on Question and Answer Friday with me. I focus. People ask me a lot of things. I look at big things. I look at root causes as much as possible. I look at what you can control. So you can't control everything. What can you control? What can you do for yourself? What can you control? And so, again, we're always going to explore these things. We're going to explore these things and look at them and see new things that are coming down the line. I'm going to try and explain them to you and do some deep dives on certain things. And, I'll give you an example. An example of what I'm talking about. And weight loss for sure, okay? Because people are very interested in that. People are very interested in weight loss. I don't blame them. We live in a world where that's a big issue in society today. It's a big issue. Even with COVID, we found out that obesity is a huge issue. It's metabolic syndrome. And metabolic syndrome is insulin. And insulin is a food hormone. You don't need insulin if you don't eat. It's as simple as that. But we must eat. Right? I was reading something there and I kind of laughed about it, but when I was reading about insulin, you know me, I like to use illustrations. And I think it was Proverbs, what was it? Proverbs 25, I think I was reading the other day. I sort of wrote this down because I liked it. It talked about wearing out your welcome. Don't weary out your welcome. That's what insulin does. It wears out its welcome, and cells start to resent it. And it just keeps coming back, coming back, coming back. And the only way to change it, guys, the only way to change it is to change fuel. Changing fuels. If you change fuels, you'll save your bacon. It is the biggest thing before anything else, really, is to change fuels. Change fuels. That is the elephant in the room in society today. Eating the wrong fuels. Because that's what's affecting those big killers that I talked to you about. Cancer, cardiovascular, Alzheimer's, and diabetes. It really is diabetes as the overarching principle. It's diabetic without necessarily getting the official diagnosis. I tell people, don't deceive yourself. I used to tell them all the time in the office, you're on the Titanic. What do I mean by that? Well, that means you're already in trouble. You took the voyage. You're on the ship. Don't worry about the deck chairs. Don't worry about rearranging deck chairs. Change courses. The way to change courses is to change fuel. Change fuel, change course. There's icebergs ahead. Whether your body is telling you you're a diabetic or not, because diabetes based on medicine is blood sugar. It's not always the best indicator, guys. See, science is blood sugar. According to traditional science, it's blood sugar. If your blood sugar hits this, you're a diabetic. If it isn't, well, you're not a diabetic. And you're only going to be a diabetic when your blood sugar hits this number. Well, who made that up? It's an average. But guys like me are saying, no, really, you've been a diabetic for a long time. Your body is unbelievable. It's fearfully, wonderfully made. It's able to manage until it can't manage. Don't wait till it can't manage anymore. Then, now I need a medication and now I'm a diabetic, and it never ends. Diabetes never, ever ends well. It always ends poorly. Because the science world wants to manage it. Eat whatever you want and keep your, the medication will keep your blood sugars regulated. But diabetes isn't really a problem with blood sugars. Guys, you understand this. Diabetes is a problem of insulin that's worn out its welcome at the cellular level. And the cells are resisting it. But it doesn't matter. Insulin will pour itself in, the more and more and more and more and more till it can't anymore. But it'll always try and do its job, and that's to get sugar out of your bloodstream. Folks, that little bit of teaching here in the last 5 minutes, it's not taught in medical school. It should be. It's physiology. It's amazing how many physicians I've talked to over the years and had to explain insulin to them. Most of them they know what the pancreas does and how it operates, but they get so sidetracked with treating the disease of diabetes that they have no idea When Dr. Atkins in the 70s, when he was a cardiologist, when he said, it's insulin, it's insulin resistance. We need to change fuels. I'll tell you, he didn't get a good reception. They made up stories about that guy. Unbelievable. Like he was some kind of quack or something. He was a cardiologist. And he said heart disease is not cholesterol. It's insulin. High blood pressure. It's not cholesterol. It's not even salt. It's insulin. And cancer. Look, cancer is complex. Different things. But one thing you can control, don't feed it. Don't feed it. And then I'm just reminded about omega-3 and DHA, and makes tumors explode, not to grow, but to destroy. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And so, guys, that's true science. Science is evolving. It's always looking. It's always exploring. It's never settled. It's never settled. We're always going to learn more. I think about I took about 2,000 hours of nutrition in the 70s. Yeah, over 2,000 hours. And it was great. I mean, in those days, it was, learning about Atkins in the 70s. Learning about, I remember Linus Pauling lecturing to us. Nobel Prize winner in vitamin C. And the world, even today, knows nothing, really, about the therapeutic benefits of massive doses of vitamin C and cancer. And I always said about Linus Pauling, he missed out on one letter in the alphabet because he should have got to D if he thought C was good. And he got the C wrong because somebody asked, what kind of vitamin C do I like? Coffee. Vitamin D. He didn't live long enough to enjoy the vitamin D, like all the research that's being done on that. But guys, you guys are getting this. You guys get it. That's why I'm excited. I'm excited about it because I'm always fascinated by preventative medicine. Preventative medicine. Some therapeutics, obviously, but preventative medicine. What can we do? What can we do to take care of ourselves? Okay, that was sort of a long philosophical expose that I did. But I just want to get you, I know you guys do it, thinking. You're going to be like a salmon. You're going to swim upstream. Right? You're going to swim upstream, guys. Don't necessarily go with the current. Go upstream. And, you're going to rattle some feathers sometimes, even in your own family and friends. Sometimes you rattle. I try not to be too offensive to people. I don't mean to be. I respect people, I do. If that's what you believe, and I often remind myself, even in my mind, to say next to myself. Like, I won't have a long discussion with people that are not listening. It'll be very short. I just say in my mind, next. I'm not going to convert the world. I'm not out to convert the world. I'm out to get people thinking. And if that's what I do every day, I want you to think. And I'm going to give you my experience. I'm going to try and break things down for you, because medicine can be complicated. The human body it's not easy on the best of days to understand exactly how it operates. And I'm going to try and do that with you and for you. Okay? Okay. Enough already. Okay. I've got a few good studies, though, that came out that I want to pontificate on this week. And if you and your friends are not, let me ask you a question. Are you getting our emails? We put a lot of time and education into the emails. So if you're not getting that, sign up for it at Martin Clinic, okay, on our website. I think. I don't know how to do anything. And if you're not a member of the private Facebook group, which is a wonderful group of our friends and the Martin Clinic family, Facebook private, it's great. Wonderful. And, some people challenge me. I got no problem. And half the time, I don't have to go there and defend myself. You guys do it. Seriously, I like that. And our staff, we thank them, Nick and Jeanette and Brandy, and they're fantastic to answer questions, right? And so we're here to help you out as much as you can on your journey. Okay, we love you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.